about before you create that garden space. Okay, that's today's conversation as we harvest. In recent times, I've been not early morning when I can't really see the sun is not out yet, but as it were, kind of have no choice because this is only the time I got. So I gotta do what I gotta do. All right. I'm on here. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. I finally got my mic, so I'm using my mic today. So I hope you guys can hear me better. Give me a second here. I think I mentioned how cold it is right now. 59 degrees. I'm kind of liking this weather. Okay, wonderful. All right. But it's not always fun coming here when it's still a little bit dark. You can't see anything. Yeah, you can't see that much. So I think I'm gonna start with the pepper area, and hoping that by the time I'm done with the pepper areas that I can see, I'm gonna focus on the areas I can see, and the areas I can't see, I'm just gonna leave as is. And I'm hoping that by the time I'm done with the areas I can see, the sun is out, and we can explore better. Okay. So the first area is our pepper area here. I noticed that some things are harvested. I think I'm gonna go get my flashlight. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. There we go. Okay. I wasn't gonna use any flashlight, but I think I have to so that I can really see what I'm getting. Still too dark there. All right. So the main conversation today is talking about. Hello, Hamza. I said I'm going to talk about before you create that garden. What are the things that you need to do? So if you've never created a garden space before and you're looking to do that, I'm going to talk about some important things you have to consider before you do so. I'm going to first start with you as an individual. All right? And by saying that, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what are the things that we eat in my household, right? What do I eat? What do we love to eat in our household? And that's really critical because it's critical for one thing, especially if you don't have that much space, right? And you're looking to maximize your space. It's very important to ask that question. What are the things that we consume in our family, right? That way, you know that you want to plant things that you know that your family loves to eat, right? And that way you're saving in some way money depending on what you're planting, and then two, you're providing the best fresh thing that your family can eat, right? You know where your food is coming from because you grew it, right? Another thing that is important to consider is how much space that you have. Okay, so those are the two things you have to ask yourself personally, like how much space do I have and what are the things that I like to grow. Then the third thing you want to consider is look at the things that are easier to grow based off the things that you guys love to eat. All right, because as a beginner gardener, you want to start with something simple. Some things are hard to grow and can be discouraged when you first get started, and then you realize that what you're trying to do is not working, right? Hey, Maxine, welcome in. We're talking about things to consider if you're looking to create your first garden. And I went over asking yourself the question, what do you like to eat? in your household. Then two, how much space do you have? That's the second point I brought up. And of all the things you like to eat, which one is easier to grow? So you want to research that question, because of course, if you're creating your first garden, you don't have answer to that question, right? So it's important that you do some research. All right. So once you've got figured out what you want to grow, that you want to grow your garden. Right now I'm trying to harvest some peppers that are all the way at the bottom. That's why I needed my flashlight. Okay, for those who are wondering what in the world is she doing with flashlight, is because some of the harvests are all the way at the bottom. So I need flashlight to get to it. So it's flashing on you guys' face. Okay. All right. It's a bending game here trying to find your harvest. But trust me, there's a lot of it. Okay? All right, so now that you've considered those things I just mentioned, the next thing you want to look into is, or ask yourself this question. I'm going to flip to the other side and look at my tomatoes real quick. All right, so we're talking about location now. Whew, location really, really matters, because that would determine how your tomatoes, your peppers, your crops, whatever it is you want to plant is going to thrive. So it's very important that you find the appropriate location. And one of the things, important thing to consider is the amount of sunlight. Okay, sunlight is one of the important things for plants to grow, for photosynthesis, which is required in their growth, as I mentioned earlier. So that's something you really want to look into and see in your yard, in whatever spot you want to plant, if the location is right. Now, because like I said, you know what you're going to plant right now, right? You've figured it out, you've researched based on what you guys eat. The next thing you want to research about is how much sunlight does this particular plant need. Now, if it's partial sunlight, you know that the location you're going to find does not necessarily have to have sunlight from when the sun rises to when the sun sets. Maybe 4 or 5 hours of sun would suffice for it, right? Whereas if you research and you Googled and it says full sunlight, you know that it needs about 8 hours of sunlight. So that way you prepare for 8 hours of sunlight. All right, if you're tracking, if you're following, drop a yes in the chat. Let me know. And if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat too. Okay. So for example, now I realized that, okay, my okra needs full sunlight. So when I come out to my yard, what I'll be doing is watching how the sun rises and sets in the particular location that I'm looking to grow. Sorry for the flashlight, guys. It's gonna turn off soon. All right, are you guys following? All right, so the next thing I'm gonna be looking at my yard, and I can hopefully take a walk around my yard, and it's blocking the sunlight in any throughout the day, right? Because I've made the mistake before. I saw sunlight in the same section of my house and only looked at the left side. I didn't look at the right side. I'm like, okay, this is a great spot. I'm going to plant at the right side. Only for me to come back after I put the thing down, I realized there was a huge tree blocking the right side of this little section that I created, which is, I might show you guys if I have time. And so that reason, planted okra. Reason the okra is not thriving as it should, as the one that is thriving in here. Okay, so that's practical example here based on experience. All right, so you want to make sure that, okay, you've seen the sunlight, check the whole area, make sure that there are no trees blocking it. If it's a full sunlight plant, okay, because all your efforts will just go to waste if you found the location but you didn't pay attention to how the sun rises, how the sun falls, what buildings or plants are blocking your sunlight. All right, if you guys are tracking, drop a yes in the chat so I know you're following while I try to fish out the peppers that I see here. it's really hard to fish them out when it's still a little bit dark, but we'll be all right. Okay, I got some good amount here. Let me flip it over. There we go. I saw some ghost peppers. They were ready for me yesterday evening when I was watering. I try not to. I try to just water, like do different tasks, so that's how I spread my activities around to make sure I'm able to do this, because I have other commitments and stuff like that. Okay. So depending on how busy I am, kind of determine how you stratify your day. That's also something I'll talk about. Okay, so now that we figured that out, we figured the sunlight setting over our plants and rising and all that good stuff, depending on the type of crop that we have. The next thing we want to do is make sure that we have a good source of water. Okay, so your garden should be located where you can easily access water, because those are another important thing that your plant needs to survive, right? Just like we need food, we don't need clothes, but you better have clothes. Yeah, we do need clothes. Just like you need food, clothes, water, and shelter to survive. Just think about it that way. The plants need sunlight, water to survive. All right. So you want to make sure you have a good source of water. If you don't have any running tap outside or whatever, then wherever you're going to carry your water from the inside out, you want to make sure it's not a long distance so you don't get tired of watering your plant, and just leave your plant to just go. Or consider, if you can afford it, to set up sprinklers or a water system that is close to your garden. All right. So those are the second thing. If you're tracking, drop a thumbs up or put a like the live so that I know that you're tracking. Okay, I'm gonna pause to see if there are any questions based on the things I just mentioned. Any questions? Okay, no questions. All right. So once we've gotten that settled, we've figured out our water system. Very importantly is the soil. Okay, these three things are what makes a plant grow. Right light, right sunlight, right light, right water source, a water source, right, and a good soil. Majority of everything is really the soil. Also, imagine you have a good sunlight, you have good water, but the soil is terrible, right? You planted a sandy plant, a plant that needs a sandy soil in a loamy soil. That plant is not going to thrive. That plant is going to survive. Is going to suffer. And I've experienced that too. Okay, this season I experienced a lot and learned a lot. This season I planted jute. I planted jute. Jute is also known as ewedu, okay, in my culture. And before I planted, I did research and said it needs like slightly loose soil. It does better in slightly loose soil, okay? And they said it needs full sunlight. So when you're researching, another thing you want to learn is don't take from one source. Research multiple sources rather. You know what they say? The Bible says that in the multitude of what counsel there is like wisdom or something like that. So don't search just one thing. Look around and see multiple. What are people saying about this particular plant? And based on that research, if like 10 out of 20 saying, 8 out of 10 is saying this particular thing, then there's more likely chance that is accurate, right? So, anyways, if you plant in the wrong soil, your plant is not going to thrive, and that's what happened with my jute. Okay, I planted it in this area. It had good sunlight, watered it very well, but it kept closing up like so. So I kept wondering what's going on here. The good news about what I did was that I planted it also in a bag, okay, like a grow bag. So what I did was I moved its location to a side of my house that had less sunlight. It only had partial sunlight, so around like 2 or 3 the sun will come and it will stay stay on until the sun sets. So that's about 4 or 5 hours. And I started noticing the one in the grow bag started thriving better. Okay. So the next thing I did was to go ahead then and plant in that area my remaining seed. Luckily for me, I had lots and lots of seeds, right? Let me switch this. The sun is rising, guys. So I don't need my flashlight anymore. So luckily for me, I had lots and lots of seeds. So what I did was I planted my seedlings over at that area to kind of see what I would get from it. All right, come with me. Oh, my bad. Are you guys tracking? I planted some seedlings over there because I had way too many jute. Okay, right now you guys are going to just be seeing trees and not me, really, because here it's kind of crazy. And then I found out that area was very, very sandy, very super sandy, guys, super sandy. So I added some thickness to it, just so that I could get it to not be too sandy, just get it slightly loose, give it the right temperature, basically the right soil. And I put in my seedlings. Lo and behold, guys, for real, the seed thriving over there. Every single week, guys, I harvest jute from there. And you guys can my videos, you're gonna see one of my videos, me harvesting my jute. And that's because I paid attention to my soil. So when you're gardening, it's a very good practice to come in every day, every other day, as your time permits, but to really pay attention to what you're doing. You can't just leave the plant and go. Think about yourself and your children when you take care of them, right? You just don't give birth to children and let them do whatever they want. You nurture them, right? You feed them, make sure they have all they need to survive for the day, right? That's the way God does the same to us too. He takes care of us. So likewise, with a garden, with a plant, you gotta do the same. If you want your garden to grow, you have to check up on it. Okay. Coming out of the forest soon, guys. This is why I wear my bee mask, my bee suit. Because I literally have to come through here. It's so bushy in this area. If something was to climb me, scratch me, suit and be fine. Oh, guys. Ooh, sorry. Yeah. So that's when it comes to gardening. Those are the important things to consider first and foremost. Okay. Let me take this off so you guys can see better. I have just a few more minutes left. I'm gonna pause to see if there are any questions. So just to recap, you need to first find out what you eat in your house and what you love to eat, vegetables and fruits, crops you like to eat in your house. Then how much space do you have? After you figure that out, then research based on the things you love to eat in your house, right? Which of them are easy to start off as a beginner gardener? Once you've researched that, then you research also how much sunlight is needed for that particular plant to grow and flourish. Then you also want to research what kind of soil. What kind of soil will this plant thrive in? Once you're done with that research, go out around your house, investigate where the sun rises, where it sets, how long the sun occupies a particular location in your house. and for what duration, right? That's duration, how long it occupies that area. Once you figure that out, find a good source of water, and then lastly, you've already figured out the soil that it needs. Provide that adequate soil that it needs. And that's pretty much it. These are our peppers for right today, for this morning, because you, let me tell you, in the morning, you come here, you don't see something to harvest. You come back in the evening, it looks like you never came in the day. With lots of things to harvest. All right, let me take a look at my okra plant here. See if I have anything. No, don't have much. Nothing. Okay, nothing there. And nothing here. But I do have some beans. So I'm gonna go and grab some beans here. In fact, some of the beans actually look they look dead. I'm not sure that they flourish so well, but it's okay. Just grab it. I'm gonna let it dry. I grew pinto beans for the first time too, so there's some lesson to learn from there too. No, gardening is a lot about experimentation too. The more you do, the more you get accustomed to it. You can read a lot of things, but when you garden, there's sometimes nuances and stuff that happens in the garden. Okay. All right, guys. So see, here are some of my beans. These are pinto beans. I'm not sure why this isn't turning off. Okay, perfect. So the next time I go live, we talked about what we need before we start. All right, that's what we're going to talk about next. All right, let me go real quick around here because I'm already out of time, guys, and I got to split. Okay, what we have indeterminate tomatoes. And the beauty of indeterminate tomatoes is that they keep growing and growing and growing until the end of have as many harvests as I had earlier on. Our goal was 24 Ziploc bags. We're at bag 16 now, 16, and I mean full, the large Ziploc bags. We're in our 16th bag right now. I still see a lot of green tomatoes. They're not yet turn red, but I don't know if they will turn red by the end of the season. Ooh, there's a nice, ooh. Unfortunately, this one came out too, but this is a nice, big one there. I didn't mean to pull out the red one, but it came out. What can I do? It is what it is. All right, some of the tomato plants are already dying off, but that's okay. Okay, I'm seeing some tomatoes over there. Let me try to grab them real quick. Get to it. Over here is Cherokee purple tomato. Right here. Alright, 6:34. I want to see if I can grab the garden eggs. So this year was my first year planting garden eggs too, guys. So I have some garden egg plants right over there, if you guys can see. This one is a little bit too small. It's not ready yet. I thought I saw one big one. I guess not. Okay, guys. Alright, guys, so that's it for today. Thank you guys for stopping by and for chilling with me. I hope you found this useful and something, an action item for you that is interested in gardening to start doing. Leaving you with something you can go ahead and start doing right away. So you can start your garden next year and start eating fresh food. Look, in these days now where we have lab grown things in the United States, lab grown meat, lab grown eggs. I mean, you don't know what you have in your system. How good is it to actually know what you put in because you planted it, right? Yeah, it's really good. So guys, consider starting your own garden. Even your very small space, you can start growing in buckets. Okay? Alrighty, guys. This piece. Alright, guys, have a wonderful, great, and marvelous day. I hope to see you in my next video. If you're yet to subscribe, do hit that subscribe button so you get notified when next I go live. And do like the live, and I hope to see you in my next live, my next video.